Okay, everybody. Hi, we're going to start. This is Judy's Jam session. I'm here with the Message of You members. And I've just been talking to Joanne on her on her speech on which was what do you need to was walking towards happiness. To walk towards happiness, I put in the chat there, what do you need to walk away from? Because to walk towards happiness, very often you need to walk away from something. No one can do it for you. What do you need to walk away from? And we were talking about the very first exercise, which is when you ask somebody, what have you learned from me? And just one second, let me somebody's doing heavy breathing. Okay, so when you do that very first exercise that I asked you to do in the Message of You is to ask people, to ask maybe coworkers or ask somebody, how have I helped you? How have I contributed to your life? And what Joanne was saying was that someone said, well, you've been there when I've needed you. We've both been going through so much stress together, divorces together, and, we've done it together. And I go, okay, so what do you glean from this? Because you just don't take the information you get, you do something with it. And what we realized is like one of her first steps in what she learned from that is the first step, her action step is put your team together. You can't go through life and difficulties without a team. And your team is not necessarily your family. It's not necessarily people you married. It can come from all sorts of places, but we all need a team. So that's just an example of, forming all the steps of the Message of You. And now, Joanne, to finish with you, you said you were going to ask your HR director, and you said he was going to tell you in 2 weeks, so it's been 2 weeks. What's the story?
Well, actually, 2 weeks was our wishful thinking. Judy, when you asked the federal government to do something, so I didn't get a response as of yet, but I certainly did inquire. And
your inquiry needs to be, you need to really put together the Message of You statement, because you need to say, you know what, there's a lot of stress going on at work. It's causing, you start with the problems. It's raising the attrition rate. It's costing, money. It's doubling up when people get sick. And so I really I want to give a talk and show, some tips that can help people reduce stress. It won't cost them any money. It's mostly an attitude shift. And I like to, deliver that to the department. What do you think? I mean, you just can't say, can I become a speaker? That doesn't mean anything. You really have to talk with your message. Until you can speak with your message, I don't know how anybody could respond. If someone said, hey, I want to become a speaker, is that okay with the government? It's like, I'm not going to get back to that. But when you talk to people, you have to talk with the Message of You formula. So anyway, okay, so we have some new people here. Fief, how are you? I'm going to show you, Joy's here. Great, everybody's here. This is Fief. Fief, where are you calling from? Do you know how to unmute yourself?
There we go. Hi.
There you go.
I'm calling from Oroville in India, in South India.
And what do you want to speak on? Why do you want to speak?
I'm a medical clown, so I want to talk about joy, fun, and laughter as part of the healing process. And I am Indian. I've come back to India. I've never lived here before. And I have a project called India Knows Love. And so we make clown noses out of seeds. And it's really about bringing people together of all castes, colors, races, creeds, with love as the central theme.
Oh, and the clown nose, where does that fit in?
The clown, because I am a medical clown,
And what does that mean, you're a medical clown?
It means I clown in hospitals, clown with people who are sick. And in India, it has got a broader viewpoint because we're doing awareness now, because 70% of all people that are actually live in the rural areas. So it happens to be a lot more about awareness, like HIV awareness, hygiene awareness, because we're doing prevention before we go into curative.
Oh, that's wonderful. You should meet Shalini, who's MD and is a part of our team. And she's also Indian. And she is an MD, and she speaks on, improving. Well, you'll talk to her. I don't want to say
Okay.
she does on her own. Okay, so there, and there's Joy. This is Joy, everybody. Joy is very serious. I love, Joy, that you have a clown nose right by your computer.
Yeah, I couldn't resist that when she said clown noses. I was like, oh, I have one, so I had to mute that, give that a shot.
Thank you.
But you're lucky. I normally have a pretty wicked phobia about clowns. I have coulrophobia, and so
Me too.
Yeah, I do too.
my mother wanted to retire and become a clown, and I can't do that.
Oh no, we got her.
Oh, very good. Okay, wait. Hold on.
All right.
Okay.
Oh, look what you've already started. That's
She's going to get hers.
Oh, look who's here. It's Jeff is here. Hi, Jeff. How are you doing? Jeff,
Hi.
you don't have a camera, I guess, on you, right?
Well, I guess not.
Yeah. All right. And so we can't see your nose at all.
Oh, good thing.
Nice.
All right. All right. Well, okay. Well, I can hear you, Jeff. Hi.
Hi.
Okay. So I'm going to come back to you in a sec. What I'd like to do is go over the goals from last week, see where everybody's at. And then we're going to do some work in breakout sessions, and then I'll answer some questions. I'm going to have to run off right at 7 today. So I already talked to Joanne. Jen is not here. Angie couldn't be here. Hesma's not here. Or Linda. Okay, your goal is to quit your night job, speaking, and interview people. What did you learn from me? Okay, so Orlinda, did you do that? Did you interview anybody? Do you want to tell us some of the results?
Yes, well, I've done a couple talks in the last week kind of for spiritual groups, and so I asked them to send me what they learned, and I did put it on the forum, but I have to look it up. They sent very nice complimentary things. I'm not sure how to translate that into what they learned from me. Do you want me to read some, or you just want to look on the forum?
What did they say?
Okay, all right. I have learned that through a positive outlook, a smile, and uplifting words, a person can have a profound impact on others. This is vital in the world of chaos. You come from your heart, spreading messages of wisdom and love sprinkled with humor. Another one was, I learned from you how important it is to do what I love. The big thing I learned from you is to be positive and to have an I can do attitude about just about everything.
Okay, this is fantastic. So those are the results that you're going to talk about in your message of you statement. That perfectly translates to that.
They aren't too ambiguous?
No, they're great takeaways. And I especially like the word chaos as far as separate that and put that in the problem. That's what we're going to talk about today.
Okay.
That's excellent. So I'm glad you did that. And let me just go. Ivy's not here. Veronica, are you here? No. Shalini. Okay. All right. So what I'd like everybody to do, right? Well, let's work on this. 1 second. I'm going to share my screen with you, and we're going to be doing some exercises. Okay, here's my screen, and let me get to this. All right, so we're going to go here to the message of you, and I just wanted to show everybody, because there are a lot of new people here, once you log in, you have the webinar schedule, because people are going, I don't know how to get on or this. But if you go here, like this is this today, it has every single how to get on any webinar. So that's all on this page. So here's content. Here's a new one that's coming up, and that's how to write web copy. It's really cool, and we're going to work on that afterwards at 7. And so it's just look at the calendar and you'll see the dates for everything. And then if we go here and we go to the courses here, what I like to do is, once this gets going, come on, is go to Module 1. And again, if you click on the Keeping on Track emails, that will trigger emails that are sent to you. And those, all of you should have a coupon, because it's $9 or something if you don't. But that triggers that. So we're going to go to lesson 1 here, and we're going to open up this document, the Message of You formula, and I'm going to open it up right here. Because what I'd like everybody to do today is to find, where is your weakness in this formula? Who is your audience? What challenges does your speech address? So today, I would like to just really focus on this. So I'll give you a for instance, because what I'm running off to is actually a networking meeting where one of my students is speaking. Actually, Lynn Rose is speaking there. She's in this, but she's speaking tonight. And they go around and everybody stands up and says, what do you do? So for instance, I would say, rather, now the tendency when someone says, what do you do? What do you speak on? You start talking about yourself, and I feel that's such a mistake. You will be ahead of the game. You will be so far ahead of the game if you start talking about the person standing in front of you. So the person who's going to ask me this is probably going to be the organizer, because they want me to speak, and they'll probably say, what do you speak on? And I'll say, how entrepreneurs, people who have home-based businesses. So that's what I'll say. How, and that's your key. Okay. Well, they have this problem. Okay, so I'm going to say tonight, how entrepreneurs, people work from home, home-based businesses, they spend so much money hiring website designers, somebody to write copy. Oh, they have to have a book written. Then they do social media. But it's all a waste of time if they don't know what their message is. And, okay, and then I go on. And, that's why I was on Oprah and I wrote the book, The Message of You, because I show people how to find their message and use it in business, use it to connect to clients, put it on their website, use it to draw people to them, and use it and learn how to speak it. I'm muttering, but that's essentially how we start. How. They have this challenge. They have this problem. They are. So the most important part is this problem. So you have to know these two things, because we're going to break up into groups now. And I want you guys to work on what is this problem and who is the audience. Number 1, number 2 of the Message of You formula. Now, you don't want to say, well, these people, they have their problem, they're stressed. I don't know what that means. What are they stressed from? And what are the consequences of this stress? So what we're going to do is divide up into breakup groups, and you'll have one person will be the coach and one of you will be the speaker. And I want the person who's the coach to keep saying, and where does that lead to? Where does that lead to? So we really, something's not a problem unless it leads to taking away from someone's money, someone's health, or someone's relationship. So the strongest is, how it affects someone's money. So that's why I start with people waste so much of their money, and it's all for naught. They waste it, they throw away money because they don't have their message. Well, what does that say to the person listening? It says that, well, I better know my message. Well, how do I find it? Well, hire me to speak about it. So you really need to create some problem in the beginning, all right? So does anybody have any questions about this? Anybody have any questions? Anybody? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to break up into groups, 2 people. Let's see, 3 people, 2 people. All right, 2 people. I'm going to create some groups, and I'll pop around. And let me just really explain what we're doing. So, and if you have any questions, now would be the time to ask them. Is I'm going to we're going to do 10 minutes, 5 minutes per person. So I really want you to get down what, this specific audience, they have this problem. What is the problem? But I don't want bullet points. I want to be able to picture it. I want you to describe maybe a little scene of the problem. If you're describing how stressed out hospital workers are, it's not like nurses are stressed. It's like they get to work at 6 a.m. and they don't stop because someone's constantly ringing a bell. And it's like they're spinning plates. And they go to this room, they go to that room. That's not a problem yet, because what are the consequences of that? And the consequences of that is that they're so spread thin that a lot of patients end up almost dying because they're not getting proper care. They're not getting the right attention because nurses are spread so thin. So it has to lead to death or some kind of something bad with either health, wealth, or relationships, okay? Or it could be that they're spread so thin, they have to keep answering so many different alarms in the patients that they appear to be rude, and then the hospital doesn't on their when they don't get their federal money because they don't score high on patient satisfaction. So do you understand that? What are the consequences of this? So one person will coach the other person for 5 minutes, and then we will switch, and you'll stay in the same group, but you coach someone else. So I want to know who is the audience and what is the thing. Okay, so I'm going to create this. We have Joanna, Erlinda, Joy, and Fifth, and Hesma, and Jeff. All right, so go to it. I'll bounce around, and I'll tell you when to switch. Okay. Okay. Okay, you guys should be in the rooms. Okay, I'm going to go to breakout room. Shalini? Hi. I can't hear you. Is your audio on? Hello? Hello, I can't hear you. Hello? I can't hear you. Are you there? Okay, I'm going to assign you to breakout room 2. Join the breakout room. Oh, good. Okay.
Fight or flight mode, and they tend to freeze up and not know how to process. So I'm hopefully going to be helping them learn how to process with a couple of different steps. One is quite simply one foot in front of the other, you know, calling it the and then. And I don't know if you've ever seen the old comedy movie, Dude, Where's My Car? And they're up to the drive-thru and they're ordering their food, and the person behind the speaker keeps going, and then, and then, and these guys are just like, I want my food, and then. So that's kind of the direction that I'll be going, is when people are at that apex of a crisis, teaching them how to get to the and then, the first foot, and then the next foot, and then
I'm going to pop in here, Joy.
Sure.
It's very succinct, though. Try more succinct. I'm going to teach people is not a problem. How is that a problem? It's all about, you know, how blank have this problem. So
well, I had articulated that before you popped in, but you know how people have
what people? You mean what people? Homeless people?
People in an acute crisis.
Oh, okay. Okay. People in acute crisis.
People in acute crisis, whether it be physical, legal, emotional, you know, that type of a crisis.
Great.
Teaching them.
No, you're not teaching them a problem. What's the problem they have?
The problem they have is they freeze when they're in crisis.
Okay. And what's the consequences of that?
The consequence is the crisis overwhelms them, and they can end up defeated and losing everything from their health to their wealth.
Oh, no. You're going into bullets. Let me just say, they freeze up. And what happens because of that is that they either turn to medication that delays the trauma, or they over-medicate, which creates new health problems. And, you know, so I need very specifically, what are the consequences when you hold things in? Or because they're in pain, they don't have the team together to help them navigate through the healthcare system. And because of that, they get lost in it and they don't get the proper care. And so we need very specifically problem consequences. Okay. Fifth, I wanted you to meet Shalini. This is Fifth, who, what happened here?
We lost both their cameras. I don't know.
We lost their cameras. Lives in India. She's calling from...
Fifth, you're upside down.
You're upside down, Fifth. All right. So, Fifth, tell me what your what audience you're going to speak to, and what is the problem they have.
I'm speaking to healthcare providers, so hospitals, and the problem that they have is they need to learn how to humanize their protocols. So
that's not a problem. Humanize their protocols is what you want them to do. A problem is the consequences. What are the consequences of not being humanized? What are the consequences?
In a private hospital, they are losing money because patients are not coming to them. They're going to a different hospital because they don't have a good quality of supporting patients in terms of bedside manner.
Oh, okay, all right. So you want, all right. So I think Shalini can help you with that. But Shalini, I think you have to unmute yourself.
Click in the bottom left corner there, Shalini.
There you go. Okay, you guys are doing good. Help each other with this, because it's very important you know about problem and consequences.
And just as an FYI, Shalini and Fifth and Judy, I have to pop out of here in about 7 minutes, so I was only able to join for 30 minutes, but I definitely wanted to see what was going on today.
Okay. Well, that's really good that you have the problem. I'd like you to write some more down.
Yes.
Okay. Good. Keep going, you guys.
I came in late.
I think the idea is survival, and coping doesn't seem to be. Coping is like keeping your head above water. survival is probably a little more than that. It's actually swimming, swimming towards shore.
So what do we have? Do we have number 1 and 2? You know how blank have this problem blank. What do we have, Jeff?
You know how parents are feeling so overwhelmed these days from their responsibilities at work, where they're putting in longer hours. They get more responsibilities at work. They're asked to do more things. They have taking care of their kids, where their kids have more responsibilities, and they have to take each kid to different things, or pay
Okay,
as
hold
much.
it 1 second. Hold it 1 second. So you have about 10 sentences, but I don't have a problem. I have a description of people having a lot of responsibilities. Responsibility is good. I don't see how it's a problem for parents. Can you tell it to me? So by saying they're overwhelmed, they have a problem, yeah, that's true. That's what people have. But why is it a problem? What are the
Why is it a problem?
consequences
Because it
of that?
affects their work. It affects their work, where their work suffers.
You're going to talk to people about how to help their work? I thought you were talking about how to be a better parent, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the better parent, but because they become more focused as a better parent, they will get the benefits of being more focused at work also.
That's not a problem, though.
Okay.
So in other words, it'd be, because parents are so overwhelmed at work, their kids aren't getting the attention that they need from them. And what happens is a disconnect. And because of that, that's one of the prime reasons a lot of kids end up on drugs. So you got to get to what are the consequences of the behavior. And that's why a lot of kids end up on drugs. Then the parents go, what do I do? So you can't just say parents are overwhelmed and it's like, what are the consequences? You want to try it again? Just with that one thing that I've coached you?
You know how parents feel so overwhelmed by their kids, and that the relationship with their kids is suffering, and there's a disconnect with the children now, so the children are doing poor in school. They can turn to drugs or get into gangs or get in with the wrong people.
Because they're missing that essential connection with their parents, right?
Because they're missing their essential connection with their parents.
Is that the problem your speech is going to address?
That's a good question.
So yeah, this is absolutely essential. You have to know what problem are you going to address. Okay, so Hesper, what do you have? Let me hear yours.
I have it written down here.
Well, just talk it. You probably know it. You know how
parents and individuals with disabilities, teachers, and their caregivers have the issue of finding appropriate care and support for the families. The consequences typically are placement, insurance issues, maladaptive behavior.
Okay, hold it, stop. I haven't heard a problem.
Okay, the problem.
What is the problem here?
The problem is that the parents and the caregivers cannot make a match to get the appropriate care.
Okay, stop. They can't get the appropriate care for the kids. And what are the consequences of not getting the appropriate care for the kid?
They won't get the appropriate treatment for the child to improve, or the patient.
And what happens and what's the consequences of that?
And as a result, it reduces their quality of life and prospective future.
See, okay, great. All right, that's the time. We're going to meet back. I'm going to work with you on this, okay, in front of everybody, okay? So we're going to close all rooms.
I can't hear.
Okay,
Oh,
now we got it. I can hear the doctor.
Okay, you can hear me now. All right, we're working with Hesma. Hesma, do you want to start again? And let's hear what this is, because I think from watching me coach here, you guys will kind of get an idea what we're talking about.
You know, when the parents and the caregivers of individuals with disabilities cannot pair the appropriate services.
Okay.
And as a result, it ends up on not getting treatment, appropriate insurance.
Now hold it. Now, see, this is how we really have to go Hollywood on this. Okay. So we can't, when I say bullet point, they're not getting insurance. These are just words, and I have no pictures. So I really want to picture a kid. So when they don't match, they're not getting the appropriate treatment. And you know what that means, people? What does that mean? A little more emotion. And you know what that means, people? Go on ahead. Tell me the consequences. And you know what that means? Go ahead.
You know what happens?
No, just go to the beginning. When they don't get the right treatment, they're not even getting the right. Do you know what happens? Say that. Repeat. You know what happens?
You know what happens? They don't get the appropriate treatment. They are left underserviced.
Wait a second. You haven't told me when they don't get the appropriate treatment. You just added a word, underserviced. What happens to a kid? Do you know what happens to a kid when they don't get appropriate treatment? I've seen what happens in California when they cut the budget of disabled, and they had my sister sitting in front of a window for 8 hours in a bad diaper because they don't have enough help. Okay, do you see my kind of passion about it? That's very different from, well, they can't get insurance. It's like, bam. What happens to a disabled person that's left behind? Tell me. What happens? What's the consequences? Go ahead. Paint a picture for me.
When individuals with disabilities do not get the appropriate treatment,
yeah,
they become depressed. They are shells and trapped in their own situations. They do not get what they need from speech therapy, occupational therapy, and physical therapy, and you take away their chances of having a quality life.
And when you take away their chances of having quality life, what's another consequence? What happens to these people? Where do they end up?
They end up in foster cares as adults. They end up working in low-paying jobs where you very well could have had someone that was very talented and brilliant that wasn't able to use their skill. I went to visit a facility that had people with disabilities they only had Medicaid and no family. They actually were going into cardiac arrest prematurely. They were dying of depression in this place.
Okay. All right. So that is exactly what I'm looking for. That is exactly. I've got some passion here. I have someone who is really concerned about the consequences of health care for the disabled. And girl, that's the kind of passion I need, people. I need you all so caring about the problem that it makes you angry. It brings tears to your eyes. Hesma, you got it. And that's the beginning of your speech. But it's never about they have to deal with insurance and they're not doing that. Every time you speak, you're speaking for people who can't speak. And I know you have a personal story about your child. And every time you speak, I want you to have that and I want and what the next assignment for this is for you to all have stories about the problem, because the problem is where everything starts. If people don't have a problem, they're not interested in listening to you. Make the problem real, okay? Charlene,
Okay.
do you want to give it a go?
Sure. So my target audience are healthcare administrators.
Just do it in formula. So you know how healthcare,
Okay.
you weren't here at the beginning. We're just doing 1 and 2. You know how health or da-da-da, they have this issue. Go into just the problem. We're not going to solutions or what you talk about, just the audience and the problem.
You know how Medicare is taking over and creating more and more and more and more targets for all of our hospitals and hospitalist providers and nurses to deal with. So not only are people been taken away from actually taking care of their patients, they now have to think about length of stay, they have to think about core measures, they have to think about productivity. And now Medicare has decided that they're going to rate us like we're a hospital, like we're a hotel, and have to judge us on patient experience. And what's more, they're going to go post us on the website like we're some hotel on Daggett.
And the consequences of that
are that if we don't perform, there's $1.7 billion at stake.
Whoa, you got
That is enough to get 3.9 million nurses across America their very own iPad.
I love it. I've never seen you speak with such passion. I love it. I love it. I mean, obviously she's speaking to a niche audience who's going to understand what she's talking about Medicare, but I think everybody's going to be going, yay, yes, 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 because this is where you hook with the audience who's like, yes, I'm with you. All right, this is good. This is good. Or Linda, do you want to try this? Okay, here I got you. Go ahead.
Oh, I say, no, I don't think I do, because I don't think I'm clear enough.
well, this is where we get clear, and this is where I give you coaching. Go ahead.
All right.
And this is where you freeze.
Yes, I know it's where I freeze. So,
okay, go ahead.
All I have is, how sometimes at the end of your day, you feel like, what the hell happened? Where did my day go? What am I doing in my life? What's my purpose?
No, I like it. I love the passion. Go. But who are we talking to? Who are we speaking to? Or Linda, are you there? Did I lose you?
I teach people how to know how much they matter in little ways, but I don't know how you say that.
Yeah. Didn't we work together, and don't we have something on this?
Well, I have a bunch of things on this.
Yeah.
But I still have a hard time, because the audience is kind of, if I pick the audiences I've talked to, they're, people that are coming to spiritual centers, unity churches, that type of thing. So I don't know how you say, people who come to church have a problem. I don't know.
Well, here's the thing. I really believe for you and knowing you, and all you do every night are tell stories, right? You tell stories about bad shit going on, correct?
Yeah, well, some of it.
Well, you're a newscaster, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Well, why not focus on that? And why not coach people to rewrite the story of their life, or not rewrite the story of your life, right. to how to tell the story of your life and how to direct it towards a happy ending. So they're on the last part of the news. Like, you can start your thing of, how all the news is pretty much bad news. It's like earthquake, demolishes an entire city, news at 11.
Yeah, right.
More Syrian orphans, stay tuned. You really need to come off of what you do as your job. And I think because of your mixed feelings about it, you're avoiding it. But I would really like that you start with, what is your job? Okay. What do you do? That you're on television, and what are these stories? And I think your advice to, is that to create this happiness in the world, it takes an effort, because the news is pretty much bad news. And that's where humans go. We just go, oh, what did scary thing did Trump say today? It's like, if it's not, it's like, I'm missing something.
That's a good point. Yeah. I do, and one of the talks I do is about changing the channel, like we do on our team. So changing the channel in your mind. Are you always on the soap opera channel and everything's a disaster?
Orlinda, I'm writing that down for you. You need to stick with that. Orlinda, that's gold. That's gold.
Okay. Well, I already have that talk kind of done.
Changing the channel.
Yeah.
Your mind. Yeah.
So.
Okay. I'm going to
change the channel, change your life, kind of thing.
Change the channel, change your life. Yeah. I just want to say that there's a tendency that I've seen go on in my own life and everybody's life, is that you have something and you keep getting discouraged with it, so you change it, and that's what doesn't lead to success.
Right.
It's like rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic, or it's like, it's like it's going down.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
almost when you have too many options, it's hard.
Yeah, it just doesn't work that way. It just doesn't work. You know why? I'll tell you what it is that the creative process is very uncomfortable. And when you hit a wall and you don't know what to do and you go, this just sucks. I suck. Everything sucks. So you either, well, I'm going to change a topic. Or you drop out or whatever, because you hit a wall. But my experiences, and I'm kind of at a wall in some things in my life right now. And I just have to tell you, people, as I tell myself, I'm no different. It's not easy, but if you just keep on the same thing, somehow it doesn't even matter what that is. If you commit to it, it will work, and we can make it work. But you can't keep changing topics.
Yes, that's a good point. Thank you.
Yeah, because here's the thing that hasn't changed. Joanne has worked in the Canadian government for 100 years, and she goes, well, I want to get away with that. It's boring. I don't want to talk about it. That's what you've done. You can't get rid of it. You work on television telling the news. That's called your hook. Like, I can't do it.
Right.
What am I doing? A hook. That's your hook. This is your job, right? That's the hook. This is your speech.
That looks painful. Okay.
All right. Now, for some of you, this hook is your job, right? This is what you've done. Okay. So I was a stand-up comedian for God knows how long, and I wrote a book, became famous. Okay. That's my hook, right? So whatever I do is going to be funny because that's my hook, right? Even though I've gotten more serious in my life, doesn't matter. That's my hook, right? And so your hook could be like, Hesma has a disabled child. That's her hook. I think it sounds so shallow to take your child and I'm
a real person. I'm a real person.
I know.
I had a job. I own a company. I'm not just a mom.
No, but my point. Thank you for that rant. But my point is that this hook and the topic and the passion of your speech can be from your job, or it can be from a life situation that associates you with a specific group. Okay, so it's both. It's both those things. All right. So questions. We have a Jeff. Do you want to? Let's see. We have Jeff and Fife. Jeff, do you want to give me yours? Let me just hear it. You have to unmute yourself. Oh, I can't hear you. Let's see. Here, I've unmuted you. Okay, go ahead. I can hear you now, Jeff.
Okay, well, I guess I've had a few minutes to think about this. You know how parents feel overwhelmed by their jobs and their spouses and their children. And the problem is that their health suffers, that their jobs suffer, and their children suffer. And they become so overwhelmed that they become stuck in what they're doing. And
What do you mean? What do you mean?
they lose all their perspective on how to deal with relationships, how to make decisions, how to get things done, what's the right thing to do.
Well, I'm missing that because I know a lot of people, have it worked out and they're not overwhelmed by their work. It's a little too blanketed about everybody. Everybody's overwhelmed and nobody can connect to their children. If you're talking about parenting, it has to be extremely specific. What problem are you going to address, and how do you qualify to speak about that? So, what advice are you going to be giving in your speech?
Well, the way I'd positioned it was as a survival strategies of be positive, stay on purpose, and prioritize your life to be able to get things done and make decisions.
What does it have to do with parenting?
It's all about parenting, and that I guess I need to define my problem more.
Well, it needs to be, in other words, like for instance, I wrote a book, The Message You, that qualifies me to talk on, people are wandering around unable to find their message, and I help them find their message. And I wrote a book, I qualify. Or I teach people how to use humor. I wrote a book, I qualify. What's your qualification, whether it be a job or life experience, on what you talk about?
You mean like I'm a parent?
Is that what you're basing on that you're a parent? Are you a psychologist? Are you have training? What is this based on?
8 years of parenting, I guess.
And your kid's 8?
My kids are 8.
Okay, twins. So you're not going to teach how to deal with teenagers, right?
Right.
Okay, so you don't qualify that. So it's very specific. What are the problems that parents have with an 8-year-old?
Getting kids to focus, getting kids to listen, and not being overwhelmed by the kids, so that they can function on their job.
Okay, like for instance, I'm coaching someone whose specific topic is rethinking women with the win. She speaks to parents on dealing with sports for kids. Very specific. So you have to get like, what am I an expert on that I'm going to teach people? And you can't just be general. Like, I help people deal with overwhelm with kids. I don't know what the overwhelm is. Is it dealing with kids on drugs? Is it dealing with, so we have to find, what do you know? What have you learned from your life that you're going to teach others? But it has to be very specific, because I'm going to say, how do you qualify? Now, right away, I find out you don't qualify to talk to teenagers because you don't know anything about them, right? You haven't experienced that. So you have to go, it could be like, I'm going to help, how to work with your kid to study. You have to find something very specific, because if you're going, you don't have the credentials to really tell parents how to avoid overwhelm at work and at home. I just don't see that. You know what I mean? So what do you know from working with your kid that you're going to write a speech about? Okay? Does that make sense, Jeff?
Yes, it does. Yeah,
so we have to go, what is the problem you've had with your kid? And you might want to start there. And you might want to ask your kid, what have you learned from me that's been helpful in us connecting? And he'll write the speech for you if you just ask him him or her with that, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, ask your kid.
More and more people are having twins. That could also be, how do you deal with young twins?
I don't know do you have twins?
I do.
Oh, Well, there you go. You have like all, now I understand what you're talking about, overwhelm. Okay. How to deal with that. That's really good. That's really good. So, and ask your kids, say, hey, how have I helped you? And that would form like, what problems have I solved for you? And then you'll know. Okay. Shalini, that's really good. Fief, we're going to end with you.
Okay.
Okay.
Here I am. Okay.
Yeah.
So you know how medical providers forget about the patient and they get so into being technical, and it's all about the skills that you learn when you're in medical school. So I'm going to go down a bit. So what challenge does this problem present? Basically what happens is they get so technical that they forget that there's a person there. And when there's no person there, everything kind of gets flushed down the toilet. It's like poo.
Okay. No, you're doing great. They forget they have a person there. So what's the experience of the patient then? With
So
the
then
doctor showing,
the patient gets really frustrated. They get really cranky. They want to throw the bedpan at the doctor or the nurse.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Let's keep it so it's real, right?
That's what happened last night. I was with a patient last night that wanted to do that.
Oh, you could bring that in then, the story. But I would imagine that the patient ends up not really understanding the technical words, correct? Right?
They don't understand the technical words, and they feel totally dehumanized.
And what's the concept? What consists of them feeling dehumanized?
They're losing hope. They're losing hope.
And what's the consequences of them losing hope?
There's less motivation to get better because.
But let's say, look, the people who hire you aren't going to be patients. They're going to be the hospitals or whatever, to speak. Make the consequences having to do with money. How does it cost a hospital more money?
It costs, the hospitals actually lose money because what happens is patients don't come to that particular hospital. So what we want to do is we want to bring patients in. So it's a marketing
So it ruins
tool.
a hospital's reputation. It can create lawsuits because just over a misunderstanding, medical malpractice, the patient then ends up more trying to find out stuff, which takes more time, which takes more energy from the nurses, and this could have been solved from just the doctor being able to talk like a human being to the, like 1 more minute. And you could even call it that, 1 more minute. You know what I mean? 1 more minute of caring, 1 more minute of connection, 1 more minute. All right? Okay. So everybody, on every single part of let me just go back to my, every single part of the message of you in module 1, there is an detailed, like, who is your audience? There's a detailed video on this, very detailed video on what is the problem, and of course your credibility to talk about it. So these 3 things, really need to match up. I speak to their problem is, and I'm qualified to talk about twins because guess what? I have them. I've been to parenting classes. I've been here. I've been there. Whatever, and I speak on this topic. So I think these videos are like 10 minutes each, 15 minutes each. The little worksheet, and you all have the ability. I love Jeff. Jeff has been posting in the forum, and I've been kind of correcting as he goes, and giving feedback. So I enjoy that. I enjoy reading what you do. So I think I'm going to end here, just showing you people one more time where this forum is. Just give me 1 second here. Here you go. Okay, so if we go back here, you have to be signed in. So I'm signed in as Jason, and you just click on form here, or it's at the bottom each video. So each video has things to post. And by the way, I just want to show you one more thing. In 2 weeks, or a week from Friday, we are going to be having a guest, and we're going to be writing. It's here in the message-based marketing, but we've added a new video here. It is lesson 4, content writing web
That
copy.
is so cool.
You like that?
Love it.
Did you watch it yet?
No, I haven't. I just saw that you have it, but this is exactly the state that I'm at. So,
Oh, fantastic. Well, there's something here for everybody, for any state you're at. A lot of you don't know what you're talking about yet, but you know what? Content writing, the one reason I'm doing the problem today is because content writing is all about what is the problem. What is the problem that you are solving, and what is the outcome? And if you look at any of these videos here in marketing, creating your promise statement, what is the outcome? And in order to know the outcome, you have to know the problem. Does anybody have any questions before we call it a night?
So, Judy?
Yeah.
Okay, so just for argument's sake, so my example, we're talking about public servants, all of their challenges, so on and so forth. I'm just curious, so how does the personal mess to success kind of ease into that? Like, where is the link?
Okay, you're asking me on the whole thing, mess to success, and into that. The personal thing? Well, that comes, I usually, in let's say a 30-minute speech, core promise, 1 minute. Maybe the problem will be 5, 7, 8 minutes. Hey, do you want to see something funny about the problem? I'll show you, because you can put the problem all sorts of forms. I'll show you something really funny that I did. I'll end with that. But I don't do my heart story until the end. You know, it's like a first date. You don't go on the first, like, oh, I just met you and let me show you my scars. It's like, no. What you want to do is really talk about them. It's all about them. You know, it's like here. If I just came on in this course and went, let me tell you about me and my life, I only bring in my life when it's answering your question or if it helps you. Because this course is all about you. So it's a secret of business. It's a secret of everything. It's what Fife is talking about. You know, it's why can't doctors make it about the patient? Why do they need to speak in the patient's language, not in their language that they learned in medical school? You know, it's about the patient. So we bring that in. So I'm going to end with, unless anybody has another question, ask me while I'm trying to find this.
Can I pipe in there though?
Yeah.
So I know one thing that you have worked with me on with my speech, and that is that you do somewhat have to bring yourself into established credibility. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I mean, with my speech, I do give a little snippet that this is why you should stick around and listen. I don't.
Oh, yeah, but that's an introduction.
Story.
The introduction.
In the introduction, I do mention it a little bit.
The introduction, you know, I mean, about your own personal operation. Yeah, you can mention it, but I don't go into a deep story about myself until I'm ready. Because first of all, who's going to listen unless they're interested, and make them interested about them? So because we're talking about the problem, meaning what is the problem the audience has that you're going to really talk about and get them into. The problem can be put into any kind of form. And as you see in Module 2, when I take you through how to write your speech, I ask you, you know, all right, what is the problem? What are the consequences of the problem? What's the story about the problem? And if it's not fixed, what's going to happen? So we keep going further and further with it because you really have to talk about it for 10 minutes. So here's an example of a gig I did 2 weeks ago in Kentucky for school teachers. It was a cool gig. It was about 1,000 people. And I call up teachers and I go, hey, what's some of your challenges? So I do this for most gigs that I do. I write a rap song about everybody's problems. You want to see it? You guys want to see it? We'll end with this. Hold on one second. Share screen. Share computer sound, do this, and then I'll log off. Let me just see, where is this? Chrome. Okay, so here it is. Can you see that so far? All right. So this is where I say, like, you just want to go, it's not fair. There's so many things are not fair because there's so much stress. Okay.
I would like to do the Floyd County It's Not Fair rap. Michael, can you hit me with the beat, please? Sorry, I'm white. This is terrible. Education is my vocation, not getting me much appreciation. Always in a crisis situation. No wonder I'm on medication. Say yo, yo, my pants are tight, my classroom's warm. I can't fill out one more form. I need some air. It's not fair. I need some air. It's not fair. Government rules are out of hand. Millions of pages, impossible to understand. And what is really deranged? As soon as we learn them, they will change. It's not fair. It's not fair. Meaning to see why my scores are late. Meaning to see why I can't hit my date. Want to know I'm not completing. It's 'cause I'm at a friggin' meeting. It's not fair. It's not fair. You see no books to teach history. How anyone learns it's a mystery. It shows Greece as a superpower. And our president is Eisenhower. We want no child left behind. So we teachers really feel the grind. When students don't pass the test, it's the teachers who have a cardiac arrest. I just got trained in physical restraint, so now I won't be getting any complaints. Kids' attitudes I can do without, but it's their parents I want to take out. Everyone whines about their pay, but there's coming a judgment day. Unless another bond issue passes, there might not be any classes. Dance break! You want your kids' graduation. Treat us with appreciation. We're the gods and goddesses of education. So much fun. I've never danced with a superintendent. Could have been my.
What do you guys think?
Only you.
What? Well, okay, here's the thing. What I do? Every single thing is a problem. That the kids have to have physical restraint. That you know, all the stress of their pay, of dealing with too many meetings. All of that is, you have to know every single problem facing the audience that you are qualified to address. And I just turned it into a rap song. I'll leave you guys with that. See you guys next week on next Thursday. Okay, bye-bye.